Hey, how's it going, guys? This is a pixel art scene time-lapse commentary type thing. I'm going to talk about my process throughout the course of this. Um, to preface this, I'm using a sprite. I'm using it on a Mac computer, and my experience with pixel art so far is only about a year and a half to this point. So to say that, and using a sprite, I didn't always use a sprite. I use free softwares that were available online. If you need to find some of those, I'll put some, or I'll put the one that I use down in the description below. That way you guys can kind of figure out and sort things out from there. There'll be some other demos and tutorials and kind of stuff using free pixel art software for you guys to kind of get started. And there's a lot of people who are interested, a lot of people who are beginners at this kind of thing. So hopefully we can use this channel as a resource for you guys to be able to learn, grow, and figure out your own pixel art style along the way. So to say that, now that that's out of the way, talking about the actual piece here on the screen, this is inspired by skateboarding. It ends up, first I start off drawing a skate park, which I end up not using when it's all said and done with, but I think it's just a nice, uh, gives you a nice sense of understanding the process along the way. Sometimes things get lost to time, some things just get left behind just because they don't fit the overall image or the idea of the piece that you have in mind whenever you actually, get to a resolution of it when it's all said and done with. So to say that I start off doing all this, but I'm just going to leave it in here because I think that you guys might think it's interesting. Actually, just end up changing the dimensions of this to make it a phone background in some form or fashion, or just make it a still image. Because I wasn't going to use it for anything, but I just felt like, man, what a waste of time. I didn't use this for anything. I didn't realize I didn't want to use it until I started animating on top of it. Uh, and you guys will see me flick a layer on and off throughout the course of this. You can kind of see the apple, kind of like, or to say that, I made a little apple skater guy. I'll put him on the screen right now. Uh, and so I made him to be able to kind of be able to animate something simple, a little simple sprite, just like an apple with arms. Because I knew the animation that I had in mind was going to be skateboarding related. I knew I was going to have some issues trying to rotate and spinning things and that kind of stuff. Speaking of skateboarding, the reason I chose a skateboarding animation is just because I'm a fan of skateboarding. I watch a lot of skateboarding. I'm not the best skateboarder in the world, actually dealing with an injury right now, so it might be a while before I get to skate again. But to say that, I kind of wanted to stretch my love for skateboarding into pixel art in some form or fashion. So it just weaseled its way out here. Uh, and to say that, I think the animation turns out pretty nice when it's all said and done with. I did have some issues trying to understand how I might want to change, manipulate, twist, turn things in my head because I didn't have a reference to use. I didn't look at any reference imagery whenever I was doing this, just kind of like building it out of my head based on the kind of stuff that I remembered. But anyway, you can see, referring back to the piece here, I'm doing a lot of copying and pasting. A lot of time people think about pixel art, they think you have to sit there and draw it pixel by pixel. Literally, sometimes you can draw one piece apart, like that fence up there at the top of the image. Whenever I'm not zooming in and out a million miles an hour, is just I made one segment and then I just copied and pasted it over and over again to kind of create the image that I wanted. Uh, but here I'm kind of adding some little dirt and dust and beat up pieces and parts all around just to try to make it feel more skate park y. There's areas where skaters have landed and slipped out, and concrete that's chipped and worn away, and there's a red curb where people would do slappies. And if you don't know what a slappy is, it's just a skateboard trick where you push your trucks up onto a curb and you can do little grinds and stalls and that kind of stuff. But anyway, we're making progress here. Trying to make it look like a skate park as much as I can. There's the image for you. Woohoo! We made it to the end of that. Doesn't even get used. So then I move forward to the other part of the image here because, like I said, it didn't work for me. Um, Actually, for this piece right here, I took inspiration from a hand railing, a concrete hand railing, which is called a hubba in skateboarding, and that actually exists inside the building where I work. I took a picture of that to show you guys, but I know what it looks like because I look at it every single day whenever I come in. Say that it exists inside. It exists on a short kind of run up where nobody could ever roll up or skate it if they ever wanted to. To say that is, I just took inspiration from that. So just and to continue onward, I had an animation in mind that was a little bit more dynamic than what I felt like I could fit into that old one. I wanted to have a lot more energy to it, so I wanted to have a lot more diagonal lines to kind of indicate how something that's moving a lot faster, a lot quicker, or a lot more energetic might move. So you guys are still seeing here, I'm taking things that I learned from that last piece and applying it to this bigger scale in some form or fashion. And I know there's a lot of zooming in and zooming out. I'm not a person that can kind of keep it at one distance and just slowly make it work. I am somebody who likes to zoom in, do all the shading pieces and parts on one segment, and then move on to the next part and do all the shading pieces and parts on one segment and move on to the next part. So I think that kind of mindset shows here with the constant zipping in and zipping out. To say that, you may think, man, he wasted all that time making the first one. I would have been so frustrated and not want to continue. Well, I think that sometimes when you have an artistic idea in mind, you'll power through it. You want to see it to fruition. You want to see it go and be its best. So to say that, I didn't mind restarting because I knew what I wanted to do. The initial one didn't match what I wanted to do, so I just restarted it. But I still learned a lot from that first one that helped me in this one. I also add other little segments and parts around the sides of the skateboarding portion of this image. So I'd been experimenting with lots of animations recently, little small ones. And I was thinking about ways that I could make those things interact with each other in an interesting way. So it wasn't just one image or one animation and then another animation. Put them all together in one big image, and one reacts to the other one whenever something happens, and the other one. So to say that, the idea kind of came together to think about growing up with the internet and always being on the internet, there's always different windows and things happening on the internet. So I felt like, okay, I'm gonna give it kind of this internet-y vibe that I feel like might work really well for this piece. So I just made it look like tech windows, which kind of fits for the pixel art aesthetic already because it has that kind of video game-ish aesthetic to it, um, just in general. But you guys can see how I'm elaborating on that kind of not pixel art, because this is pixel art, the internet vibe that came to mind as I was working throughout the course of this. Because again, I thought that it would just work better than what I had here. You guys will also see in a moment that incorporate this paperclip kind of gentleman here on the right hand side. For those of you that grew up with a Windows computer, there was this little guy that would come up. His name was Clippy. He just was there to solve your problems and let you know, hey, do you have a problem? I can help you out. Try this, try this, try this, try this. I just thought it would be funny to have him have a reaction, kind of an expletive reaction to a skateboarder skating, just because he was so, uptight and very focused on solving your problems. So to kind of have him leave that character behind and focus on what was happening on another character somewhere on the screen. Here, I'm creating a bigger version of the Apple Skater that you'll see a little bit later, a lot more here in just a moment. Again, I'll put him on the screen again if you guys want to see him. But I felt like I couldn't make him have a reaction because he was moving so fast in the skateboarding thing. A lot of time we don't look at people's face whenever we see a skateboarder, pay attention to their feet and how they're catching the board, that kind of stuff. Uh, so I wanted to put something on the side that kind of indicated the character's reaction whenever he landed the trick. And uh, to say that, here I start animating the actual trick of skateboarding, of the skateboarding. So the trick that I was trying to animate was a kickflip backside Smith grind. For those of you that know what that is, great. We're skateboarding fans, rock on. But if you don't know what a kickflip backside Smith grind is, it does not mean anything to you. I also felt like at some points that this animation started to look like a kickflip backside lip slide. Which again, if you don't know what skateboarding is, you don't know what the tricks look like in skateboarding, then that means nothing to you. But I hope that I achieved my goal in that. I kind of struggled with the animation here just because I'm trying to imagine this all in my head, making it look like a kick flip without making it look like a hill flip, without making it look like um, all these different things that just come up whenever you're animating something and how that might work. So you guys will see me struggle with this here in the beginning. I don't show you the whole animation process because Lord knows this video would be probably an hour long even if it was sped up. Speaking about how long it is, um, how long did it take me to make this piece? Well, with all the video, including the first part that ended up not even getting used, I think that the video altogether was about 7 hours, and it probably was another 7 hours afterwards trying to animate everything and understand what was happening. You guys will also see it kind of flipping back and forth between two frames. On my screen, when I'm using Sprite, I'm literally just using the arrow keys and going back and forth between each frame just to make sure that the animation looks fluid. And sometimes you'll just see me let it run all the way through just to kind of like make sure I can understand what's happening here. And also, I know that the Apple guys over there on the right-hand side, um, I just kind of draw him out and paste him over there. That way, if I can paste it into the next frame afterwards and just manipulate it little by little. To say that manipulating it little by little, I'm using something called frame by frame animation, or it's called straight ahead. So just animating it one frame at a time, going straight forward. There's also pose to pose animation, which literally I could take these big moments that are happening in the animation and fill all the space in between using in betweens. In betweens are just frames that exist between two keyframes. What is a keyframe? A keyframe is just something that is kind of an easy way to map out an animation without having to draw all the drawings. But I'm not going to try to get caught up on that. You'll see me kind of elaborate on that kind of stuff here. I think this piece comes to a resolution here in just a moment. To kind of touch on that before this piece is up, over there on the left-hand side, I have a color palette. That color palette is not mine. I took that color palette from a website called Low Spec. It is called Tropica 33, I believe. I will post it in the description below, and I will credit the artist who created it because I didn't. But I love the colors, and I wanted to use them, so I did use them, and it turned into this. So shout out to the person who created that color palette. Hopefully I put their name on the screen, or I put their name in the description or something when it's all finished. But you guys will see the final animation here in just a moment. I'm trying to add some impact to it. I also think that I draw some smoke coming off the pop of the board here a little bit later on. The reason why I do that is just to add some emphasis to the overall animation itself, just because I felt like it felt stiff and I felt like there wasn't enough focus on what was actually happening. So then I start drawing some smoke here on the ledge as he's grinding down, because it's a backside Smith grind, or if you think it's a backside lip slide, then he's sliding down. Again, if you don't know what either one of those terms mean, don't blame you. I just like skateboarding. I'm a fan of it, so I wanted to express that in this animation. I was really excited. I'm dealing with an injury right now and I can't skate, so I wanted that to come through in some form or fashion and express that desire I have. So hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this video. It wraps up right here, so I will shut up now and let you enjoy it. Ta-ta for now.